Hey everybody, it's CG here, and today we're going to be reviewing the Shelgon division for the Academy Discord Draft League, and it's just going to be me today, so let's go ahead and dive on in. So, the first team we have here, we have Levi's team, and he has Dragapult, Megalopony, Necrozma, Zoroark, Hisui, Iron Leaves, which is its Terra Captain, Psychic and Fairy type, Terra Captain Mimikyu, Ghost and Ground typing, Orthworm, Delphox, Tatsugiri, Mudsdale, Kamala, and Charjabug. Okay, so now let's go over and take a look at the breakdown, the Ballhawk prep deck breakdown here. So first off, his Terra captains. I'm not in love with them. I feel like he should have done Terra Necrozma, and because I feel like it has more flexibility there, and you can give Necrozma a better defensive typing like Fairy or Steel or Water or something like that, and then you can choose the other type as like a more offensive type. I'm not really sure what you would do with Necrozma, but like the other type that is. But I think you have a lot more flexibility there. Mimikyu and Iron Leaves are, I think they're solid. Two setup mons, and they both, or Iron Leaves has a bad typing, so it's good that you can get rid of that. And then the Mimikyu, making it ghost type makes the Shadow Sneaks stronger because Mimikyu is already so weak, and it makes Shadow Claw stronger as well. And I believe he had Ground as the other type for Mimikyu. Yeah, I don't know about Ground. I don't think Ground makes too much sense. I think I would have done Fire. That way you can't be like Flame Bodied or Will-O-Wisp, and it makes it a bigger setup threat. So I think I would have done Fire over Ground on Mimikyu. And Iron Leaves was Psychic and Fighting. The Fighting type makes sense, just to give it stab, close combats. The Psychic type, I'm not 100% sure about. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have done another type there instead of the Psychic type on Iron Leaves. Okay, so next let's go into the Hauser control. So for his setters, he has three pretty good rockers. I like all three of the options in Orthworm, Necrozma, Mudsdale, and then his spikes, Orthworm, and then his sticky webs on Charjabug. So I think those are pretty good options. There's no grounded poison, so T spikes are an issue for this team, big time I think. And the removal options are just Tatsugiri and Kamala, and I think those are okay. I like Kamala, but I don't think it's a mon that is going to be coming to every single game. And yeah, it's like two low tier spinners, and that's his only form of removal. I guess Kamala is immune to toxic spikes, so that's pretty good. But yeah, not having a grounded poison just to automatically come in and get rid of the T spikes is really annoying. You have to spend a turn getting rid of them when this team is really weak to T spikes. A lot of grounded, or all the mons grounded. Yeah, every single Pokemon is grounded. Wow. Yeah, so he's gonna have to run boots a lot, but even then, like Megalopony can't run boots. Dragapult, you take away item flexibility. Necrozma doesn't like to run boots; it likes to run other items. There's really only one mon that likes to run boots, and that's Delphox. I guess you could do Tatsugiri too, because it could be a spinner, but yeah. So I don't love that. I don't really like the removal options. I wish he would maybe get rid of Zoroark and get a high tier defogger or spinner, something that's more consistent. As far as speed tiers, this team is really fast. I really like it. He has Dragapult and Megalopony, I think two of some of the fastest mons in the format. So I think that's really good. Then he has pretty good Scarf options as well. In the Iron Leaves, Zoroark, Delphox, even Tatsugiri. So I really like those options. It's very fast and has really good Scarfer options, so that's really good. And then he has a bunch of really good like mid and low speed mons, and like Orthworm, Kamala, and Charjabug, Mudsdale, and I guess Necro is like a mid speed tier mon as well. So I think the speed tiers are great in this team. I like that he has three knock users. I don't know if Zoroark Hisui gets knockoff. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I know Necro and Kamala do. So that's pretty good to remove like a helmet for Megalopony. I think especially on Kamala, I think that's really good. I think that pairs well. The knockoff pairs well with Megalopony because usually the best counter to Megalopony is Rocky Helmet Mons. So that's solid. Priority. I think the Oh, he actually has really good priority. I actually really like this. Fake out Megalopony, Quick Attack Megalopony, and then Shadow Sneak Mimikyu, and also a potential Sucker Punch Dragapult. So I think all of those are really solid options. I like the priority options here. It doesn't, even though it doesn't show on the dock here, just don't have those selected. I really like that. I think Megalopony is going to be really good in this format because of Fake Out and Quick Attack. I think priority is king in this generation. So I think having a great priority user like that is going to be really nice to help revenge a lot of the other fast mons. And yeah, I really like Megalop this format, and I think it'll play out really well for them. So then next, looking at their type chart, there's a lot of weaknesses here. Really not in love with it. Like I said earlier, every single Pokemon is grounded, and he does have a ground immunity in Earthworm, and he has... I wouldn't really count Iron Leaves as a ground resist because it's so weak. I guess it's not really frail, but it's usually a sweeper mon, and you're not going to switch it in on things. And I don't think it has Synthesis either, so yeah. But he has Mudsdale, which is like a pseudo Earthquake switch in with Stamina, so it can take repeated hits. And it usually runs Rest to stay healthy anyway, so I think that's fine. The Flying Resist, only having Earthworm, that's not really good because like a Torn T is just going to run through this team, especially if it's like Terra Flying or something. And it has coverage to hit Earthworm. Other flying types. What other flying types are there? Losing my mind here. I can't really think of any at the moment. I guess Celesteela, kind of, but mainly Torn. And yeah. I think that's just going to be the toughest matchup for them, or like a really, really tough matchup for them. He has three normal types, so switching into Ghost moves shouldn't be that big of an issue, but the Dark type, being so weak to the Dark type moves here is really not optimal at all, because knockoff, or like a lot of mons keep knockoff because the format is Natdex Legacy, so all the Pokemon keep their cut moves and regain moves that they didn't have or lost in Paldea. So yeah, being this weak to Dark typing is really bad. And the only Dark resist is a Megalopony, and it shouldn't be switching in on many things, and it can't because of its frailty. So I think that's pretty bad here. They also don't have a Dark type themselves, so that means like Calm Mind, Iron Defense, like stored power sets from like Mew or Slowking, Slowbro, Slowking Galar, it's gonna give this team a lot of issues. So I don't like that from Levi's side. And then the Fairy weakness, I guess he kind of has a Fairy weakness. Yeah, he does actually. Yeah, like a strong Fairy type is gonna kind of run through this team because Earthworm isn't gonna be able to stay healthy long enough, and has a really bad special defense. So it coming in on like a Mega DNC isn't going to do well, because Mega DNC does have the coverage in Mystical Fire to hit Earthworm. And things like an Amorous Therian, I mean, you can just run like choice specs on your Fairy types and basically get a kill anytime you can safely get that Fairy in. So I don't really like that. And then the team does kind of have an ice weakness as well to like Iron Bundle, Kyurem, Chen Pao. Yeah, like if those mons can get in freely and they can just click moves and force a lot of progress or break holes through this team. So I don't like that. I would get a low tier, I guess this is not low tier, but like a Tauros Paldea Water, or the Fire one. Like either of those would help, or even he doesn't even have a bulky water either, jeez. Or even like a Primarina would help in those matchups, sort of, but not really in the Iron Bundle. But you have Kamala, and you have ways of revenging the Iron Bundle, so I think that's okay. But yeah, this team is very, very offensive. I don't know if he has any screen setters. He probably has a couple. I think Dragapult gets it. Probably like Mimikyu or Delphox. So I think what he should try to do is run screens on this team and just set up with mons like Necrozma or Dragapult, or like Iron Leaves, Mimikyu, I think that should be his game plan most weeks, and just hope to out offense the other team because he's not going to be able to defend many attacks here. But I think he does have the offensive capability to do really well with this team. Overall, I'd give this like a B minus or C plus. I think offensively the team is really good, but I don't like the team defensively. And I think in draft you kind of have to have some bulk on your team. But if you can play a really offensive team well, then you are gonna do well. But because your team is more offensive, then that means you have less room for error. So you're basically gonna have to play perfect and not get hacks either to win your games. So that's why I'm kind of ranking this team low. Next, let's go to Theo and Ace Titanium. So their team is Terra Zero Aura, Dark and Flying type, Mega Medicham, Slowking, Serena, Magnezone, Mandibuzz, Hippowdon, Lycanroc Midday, which is their second Terra Captain, with Rock and Fighting type, then Sylveon, Ariados, and Mr. Rhyme. So first off, I don't like their first overall pick. They had the number 2 pick overall, and they picked Zero Aura. I think that's something they could have gotten like on the wheel back with their like second or third round pick. So I think there are plenty more better options to grab right here, and you still would have ended up with Zero Aura. Like they could have gotten Chen Pao, Iron Valiant, Chi-Yu, Iron Bundle. I think there were Tornadus Therian, Garchomp. I think there are so many better options, so I don't like the Zero Aura first pick. I think that's something they could have gotten in a couple later rounds. But now let's get into their Terra Captains. So they did Dark and Flying for Zero Aura. I think Flying makes a lot of sense. That way you get your immune to ground, which is Zero's only weakness, and you can get Stab on. I think it gets Acrobatics. I think that's the only Flying move it gets though. I don't know why they chose Dark. I probably would have just done Fighting, so that way close combats and Drain Punches hit harder. Or maybe even like Fire types, that way you're immune to Will-O-Wisp. It helps your setup sets. But yeah, I think the Zero Aura Terra Captain is fine here. And then I like their second Terra Captain and Lycanroc, and I like what they did Rock and Fighting, I believe. Yeah, Fighting. I think those are perfect for it. Rock type just makes the Assault Rocks and Stone Edges hit that much harder. And then the Fighting type gives you Stab on your close combats. So I think that's good. Now let's go into their hazards. So they have Lycanroc and Hippowdon as their only rockers, no spikers, and they have T-Spikes and Webs with Ariados, and then Spin with Serena and Mr. Rhyme, and then Defog on Mandibuzz. So I think their hazard setting game is pretty weak. I think you're really only going to be running rocks on the Hippowdon most of the time. And then they might do like a niche, like lead Lycanroc set every once in a while. But I think Lycanroc is like one of their only few offensive Pokemon. So I don't know if they're going to be doing that too often. And then Ariados is fine for its point value. It's only 1 point, so I think getting it is okay. And it's another mon that could be a potential lead and just get up Webs and T-Spikes if the other team has bad removal. I would have liked to see a Ghost type paired with this team because they do have Webs and T-Spikes and lead Ariados. So that way teams can't defog, they can defog, but that way they won't be able to Rapid Spin on you. Then the removal, I think they have 3 really good removal options. Well, I won't say 3, I'll say 2. I really like Serena and Mandibuzz. I think they're really solid and they can easily slot Defog and Rapid Spin on their movesets and be very good with that. The Mr. Rhyme, it's a Mr. Rhyme. I don't know how useful it's going to be or how often it's going to come, but I think they mainly got it there for just offensive purposes, not for spinning. But I guess spin can give it a speed boost and make it more threatening offensively, so that's fine. And then I like their pivoting options. Serena, Mandibuzz, and Slowking and Magnezone, they're all really good momentum users. I guess you could throw in Zero Aura, but it has a tougher time running Volt Switch because ground types are a really good check to Zero Aura. Um, but I like the other four options of momentum because Slowking can run Chili Reception or Teleport, so that those are great options. Serena can run U-Turn, Magnezone can run Volt Switch or Teleport, and then Mandibuzz usually runs U-Turn on its moveset as well. So I really like that, and then because they can, and they're all like bulky, slow pivots, and then that can get in a Mega Medicham, and you can start wreaking havoc. And I really like Mega Medicham this format as well. It's another great priority user with Fake Out and Bullet Punch, but it can also be a very threatening sweeper because it gained Trailblaze this generation, so it can boost its speed. And it also gained close combat, so it doesn't have to worry about high jump kick missing. So I really like the Mega Medicham, and I think it's going to be really solid with these bulky pivots here. And next, let's look at their speed tiers. So they have Zero Aura as their fastest mon, then Lycanroc, Midday, and then Mega Medicham. So I think those are pretty good mons. And then you have the priority with Mega Medicham. And they don't have any mons in like the base 90 range. So if you have like a Hydreigon or like a Kyurem, you can freely run an attack boosting nature. And Mandibuzz is rarely ever going to be running speed. So I mean, you could even get away with just speed creeping Serena. So that's not great, but they do have a lot of defensive mons. They have a great defensive backbone in Slowking, Sylveon, Hippowdon, Mandibuzz. So I think a lot of teams are going to have a tough time breaking through that. And like I said earlier, they can use their walls to pivot around and get in their Mega Medicham. So I like that idea. And I guess let's talk a little more about the priority. So I think they have Mega Medicham, obviously, Fake Out and Bullet Punch. And then they have Lycanroc Midday with a Celerock, and that's really solid. And with Terra, it's going to hit really hard. And I guess they have a couple Sucker Punch users as well. I guess Lycanroc gets it, and I don't know why Mr. Rhyme would ever run priority, but I guess he could in a few niche instances. Oh, and I guess Ariados gets priority as well. Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch. I like the knockoff users as well. Zero Aura is a great user. Same with Serena and Mandibuzz. They're all really good options. They have a lot of taunt as well, and they have a couple of phasers as well with Mandibuzz and Hippowdon, so that way their teams can't be, or their defensive mons aren't prone to setup. Same with Slowking, it gets Dragon Tail, so it can phase out potential setup sweepers. Looking at their type chart, they're a little weak to fire types, but they have a really good switch into Slowking, but they definitely have to be careful to not have Slowking get weakened in the long term of the game. And then they're kind of weak to ground, and I wouldn't even say they're weak to edge quake because Mandibuzz can take stone edges from most mons, even +2 stone edges, it can take them easily. And then ghost type, for the ghost type matchup, I think the only real like ghost type matchup they would be weak to is like Blacephalon maybe, because fire is also good into them and they don't really switch in well to fire ghost moves. What other? Dragapult could be an issue with just pivoting around on the Mandibuzz. That's likely coming in. What other ghost types are taken? I guess Annihilate would be horrifying. No one drafted Spectre. I think Spectre went undrafted in all the divisions. I guess there's that. Oh, Blacephalon didn't even get drafted. I think that's like all the relevant ghost types. Just Annihilate. Yeah, wow. Never mind. I guess no one like ghost types this gen, or Zora Kisui, but I think they have good answers into Zora Kisui. They have Mandibuzz, which is a great option. So they should be fine in their division against the opposing ghost types. Yeah, then they're not really weak to fairy. Magnezone isn't the greatest answer to fairy types, but Slowking and Hippowdon can EV themselves to not be two shot by most fairies, and they both have great bulk and they have both have slack off, so they can recover it off. So one of my gripes with the team is that they don't really have a good special breaker. It's only really Magnezone, and I don't know if I would even count that because Magnezone has pretty good answers, or like most drafts have pretty good answers in a Magnezone. Like most ground types can switch in and beat it. Um, and then on the physical side, they have. I really like the Mega Medicham, and I guess Zeraora can be nice. I don't know about Terra Zeraora, though. I wish they would have taken like one of the other high tier mons before they got Zeraora, like Iron Valiant, Chen Pao, or Iron Bundle. I think either of those would have been phenomenal on this team. Even Chi Yu for the breaking power would have been amazing here, and all their bulky pivots, or like really, like I said, just any of those mons. So I wish they would have done that before they grabbed Zeraora, just so they have another excellent breaker on their team. But overall, I think I give this team like a B plus ish, just because I like the defensive presence they have on the team, and most of them can pivot around. I forgot to mention the Baton Pass Sylveon as well. So I think most of their game plan should rely on Mega Medicham just breaking through the opposing team, and or potentially sweeping with Trailblaze and possibly setting up a late game for Zeraora. Um, one thing I wish the team had was like a mon that is like a dedicated late game cleaner. I don't know how many games Lycanroc midday is going to come to. I guess that could count as a like mid late game cleaner, but something with like Beast Boost, like a Kartana or Blacephalon, I think would have been really good here if they could fit it, because those mons can just snowball. I mean, Spectre would even be nice as well, because you have you have a really good Spectre answer right now in Mandibuzz. So you kind of took away one of its checks. Actually, I don't know if Mandibuzz even checks Spectre anymore because it gets Draining Kiss now. So yeah, I wish they would. I think one really big improvement on this team would be to get a Snowball Pokemon that can just sweep the late game. And if they had that, I think I would give this team an A. More rockers I think would be nice as well for them. I don't know how much they really needed the Magnezone. I don't love steals. I can't set rocks or any type of hazards. So I think they could potentially change this pick to something else, to another steel that gets spikes. But I would definitely rank this team above Levi's, just because they do have the defensive presence. They don't necessarily have the offense that Levi does, but I think Levi, he's gonna have to play his games perfectly in order to do well with it, I think, just because of how offensive it is. Okay, so let's move on to Willow Rush. And Willow Rush's team is Chen Pao, Terra Annihilate with Ghost and Normal typing, Mega Gardevoir, Moltres, Empoleon, Flygon, Licky Licky, Thwacky, Weezing, Inteleon, and Jolteon. So first off, I love the selection they did for their Terra captains. And for the most part, I like their typings. I like Ghost and Annihilate. It just makes Rage Fist that much stronger, because there's some instances where you want to run Choice Scarf and Annihilate, but Rage Fist isn't doing any sort of damage. So just having that Ghost type to boost the damage is pretty nice. I don't know why they chose Normal as the other type. I would have done just a defensive type to help to help set up bulk ups easier. So something like Water Fairy, I think, would have been better as their second type. Or you could argue for just their two types being Water and Fairy, but I think Ghost is okay. And then Jolteon, I love as their second Terra captain. I think it's great, and one of its big hindrances in the past decade plus is it doesn't have good coverage. It used to rely on Hidden Power. Hidden Power is banned this generation, or banned in our league and format. So, or not the format, but it's just banned in our league. But Jolteon does have Terra Blast, so it being able to hit ground types, which was one of its biggest issues, it now can have ice and water coverage to hit the ground types, and I think that's great. I think one thing they could have changed was to put grass as the second type. I think ice is one of the best options, but I think grass would be the second best option, so that way you can hit the water ground types for 4 times damage instead of neutrally with ice and water. But that might just be getting into semantics. But yeah, I really like their Terra captains here. I think I think the Annihilate Terra. I think the Annihilate Terra types could definitely be better though. Okay. Anyway, so let's move on and let's go to their hazard setting. So for the rockers, they have Empoleon and Annihilate, and then T spikes they have Wheezing, and I think the rockers are a little weak. Empoleon is a great rocker, and I've seen Annihilate put in a lot of work with rocks, and I've seen a lot of teams in like DPL run rocks on Annihilate. So I think that's solid. Yeah, because you could do like lead sets with Annihilate rocks, or you could put it on the Choice Scarf set, or even just like a more kind of defensive Annihilate set as well. So I think it's okay. I wish their ground type would be able to set rocks because Flygon doesn't have rocks, unfortunately. And then their removal options, they have Moltres, Flygon, and Empoleon. I think those are solid options. Yeah, those are all pretty good options. And they don't really need a spinner on this team because the team's goal here isn't try to hazard stack, so I think that's fine. Moltres does have to worry about knockoff though, but they have okay knockoff switch-ins and like Licky Wheezing, so I think that's fine. So next let's go to their momentum. They have lots of options: the Jolteon, Thwacky, Moltres, Inteleon, Flygon, Annihilate, and wow, that is quite a bit of options. I really like that. They have a lot of fast offensive mons that can U-turn and maybe like reposition themselves to get a Chien-Pao or Annihilate or Mega Gardevoir in. So I think that's really solid. And their priority options, they have Chien-Pao, which is one of the best priority users in the game. And then they could do like a niche Empoleon Aqua Jet, or I guess Inteleon Jet or Sucker Punch. I have seen Swords Dance and Empoleons go off in the past, so I hope they use that set or try it out once. But yeah, I really like their priority options here. Chien-Pao just being the main user though, but I think that's really solid. And they have a lot of taunt, and I think they have a couple of phasers. They have Wheezing with Haze, and then Moltres gets Roar, so I think that's pretty good. And Licky gets Dragon Tail as well, same with Flygon. So I don't think they're very susceptible to setup, their opposing setup. And then they have I guess their knockoff users are okay. Mainly like Thwacky and Licky. I guess Empoleon as well, but I don't know if it can really fit it on its moveset most of the time. Because usually it runs like Scald, Rocks, Flash Cannon, and like Protect or like coverage move. I guess it could fit knockoff on its moveset as well. So yeah, but I like that they have the knockoff option though. Next, let's go to their speed tiers. So they have Chien-Pao and Jolteon, and that's incredible. Two very fast mons, and then Inteleon, which is a good Choice Scarf user, and then Mega Gardevoir, Flygon, and Annihilate, and Flygon and Annihilate are also two good Choice Scarf users. And then they have some slower options as well. So I think their speed tiers are very well balanced. The only thing is like a Iron Valiant can run a plus attack nature or like special attack or whatever nature into this team. So that would be kind of scary. But their team on paper, it looks pretty well balanced here. I don't see any major weaknesses. Yeah, I really don't see any major weaknesses. I think they covered all their weaknesses really well. Maybe like a Mega DNC matchup would be tough, but they have a pretty solid answer in Empoleon, and you can run Shuckleberry for it. And Licky can eat most hits as well into a Mega DNC. So yeah, I really like the options here. This team might be weak to like a Dragapult, but a lot of teams are just weak to Dragapult. Oh, their only Dark Resist being Chien-Pao. That's not great. Yeah, that isn't great. Yeah, a lot of teams are gonna try to abuse that, I think. But yeah, overall, I like their team offensively. Chien-Pao and Annihilate are gonna be really tough to handle. Bandit Chien-Pao is, I imagine it's gonna come most weeks, but boot sets are also really good. Yeah, so I really like Chin Pao, and Annihilate is very annoying because you have to prep so hard for the bulk up set, and then Scarf sets are also really good. Mega Gardevoir hits like a truck with Pixelate. I feel like people forget how hard it actually hits, and Moltres is really solid too. I feel like Moltres is a mon that is slept on a lot of the time for its special attack, and it has base 125 special attack and Stab, Hurricane, Flamethrower, Fire Blast. So I think it's a pretty solid offensive option, even though typically it wants to run defense. And then they have Inteleon as well, and Inteleon is a really big sleeper. I feel like it's good enough coverage, but with like specs or the crit set, it can hit really hard. And then they have Jolteon as well, and it has great coverage. The only thing though is like how often are they going to Terra the Jolteon? I'm not sure. I think it would be a great user of Terra, especially with the types that they chose for Annihilate. I don't love the types that they chose for Annihilate. Um, but yeah, overall I think this team's pretty solid. I think defensively it has the tools there. It might struggle sometimes offensively, but they have Chen Pao and Annihilate, Mega Gardevoir, Moltres, so I think they'll be fine breaking through other opposing threats. They have a really good physical breaker in Chen Pao, and then a pretty good special breaker in Mega Gardevoir. Um, yeah, so and then yeah, I guess you can throw in Inteleon and Jolteon there as special breakers. So yeah, I like this team offensively and defensively. I wish they would have more hazard setting because Chen Pao and Nile both really appreciate that to put things in range of their attacks. Um, Overall, I think I give this team a. Do I like it more than Theo's? I think I do. I think I like it more than Theo and Ace Titaniums because they have more offensive threats. Yeah, they definitely have more offensive threats, and I feel like it's about the same kind of team. So I'm gonna put this team above Ace Titanium and Willow, or sorry, Ace Titanium and Theo. And with that, let's move on to Macus. His team is Zamazenta Crowned, Terra and Amorous with Fairy Ground, Quaquaval, Cinderace, Audino, Klefki, Rotomo, Terra Dragalge with Poison and Fire, Mega Camerupt, Claydol, and Wobbuffet. In just a second, I'm going to take a drink here. So first off, they're Terra captains. I love Terra and Amorous. It has a great speed tier, and the Stab Fairy, or the Terra Fairy, is going to hit like an absolute nuke. And then it has excellent coverage and earth power to the steel types or fire types that want to come in on it. So it's going to be able to hit that harder and super effectively. And the ground type also gets rid of its electric weakness, so I like that as well. It actually gets rid of all of its weaknesses, except ice. Yeah. So the ground type pairs really well offensively and defensively for an Amorous. I love that. And then the second Terra captain they chose was Dragalge. So we have a 25-point total for 2 mons to Terra. And Dragalge makes a lot of sense. You could make an argument for maybe like Rotomo. Clade, yeah, like no, never mind, not Rotomo. Audino or like Claydol, but I think Dragalge is pretty solid. I don't know about the types though. Is it in Scarlet and Violet right now? I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think it. Oh, it is. Oh, I had no idea. So that means it does get Terra Blast. I guess Fire makes sense, so you can hit the Steel types with your coverage. I don't know about Poison though. I maybe would have done Dragon just to hit harder, or maybe gone with a more like overall defensive type, like Water Fairy, Steel, something like that. But Fire does make sense, so you can hit the Steel types harder. But yeah, I really like their Terra captains here. The only thing I would argue is maybe to change the types on Dragalge. And then now let's get into their hazard setting. So they have Mega Camerupt and Claydol as their rockers, Klefki Spikes, Dragalge T Spikes, and then the removal they have Defog, Rotomo, Defog Klefki, Rapid Spin Quaquaval, and Rapid Spin Claydol. So first, let's start off with their hazard setting. I'm not in love with it. Yeah, Mega Camo and Claydol aren't the best mons, and they're not going to be coming every week, so I feel like they're going to be missing that. But they do have a good spike setter in Klefki, an excellent spike setter actually, and then they've got a really good Grounded Poison and T spike setter in Dragauji. So I like that. As for the removal, I think it's okay. I think Modem is pretty solid. Klefki can run. Um, it can run defog, but I guess defog. Yeah, it can get away with defog on like screen sets because it doesn't get rid of screens on your own side. But that means if you run defog Klefki, you're not going to be running spikes. So that's kind of a hindrance. And then Quaquaval, I don't think I've ever seen Quaquaval run rapid spin, but I guess it has the option. And then you have Claydol as well, and I don't know if Claydol is viable enough. I don't know if it can really do much this meta because this meta is like heavily emphasized on dark types. So I don't know how great Claydol is going to be at spinning, or if it can even come to a game. So I'm not in love with that. Okay, so let's go to their momentum. They have Quaquaval and Cinderace as their U-turners. Really, it's only Cinderace. Quaquaval doesn't really run it too much because mainly you want to run the setup set, or I guess you could run U-turn on like a Banded or Scarf set. That might work. So I guess there are some instances where Quaquaval can run it, and then you have Teleport Claydol. That's pretty solid, and you have Volt Switch Modem. So I think they have a pretty solid momentum core with like Cinderace and Modem mainly, and Quaquaval does have some instances that it can run it, so I think that's okay. As for the priority, they have Aqua Jet Quaquaval, Sucker Punch Cinderace, which does get stab on it with Protein, and then there's Sucker Punch Rotomo, and I know Mediocre Bob would be mad if I didn't say Sucker Punch on the Rotom forms. I know he loves that. As for their phasers, or like taunt mons, they have three really good taunt users, and an Enamorous, Quaquaval, and Cinderace. I love that. As for phasers, I think they have Dragon Tail, Dragauji. I'm not sure if Auto Note gets anything. It probably does. So I think that's okay. Yeah, they have three pretty fast taunt users to stop opposing setup. One of my biggest gripes with this team, though, is that they have a Zamazenta Crowned, and the biggest thing that Zamazenta hates is Rocky Helmet users, and they only have one knockoff user, and that's Audino, and that's not going to force those defensive walls that are running those Rocky Helmets to switch in on the Audino as it clicks knockoff. So I don't know if I love that. So offensively, I think the team is really solid with their top four, and you can throw in Dragauji and like maybe Mega Camel in that. They do have a couple Trick Room users with Audino and Claydol, I think. I don't know if Klefki gets it. I don't think so. But they have two pretty solid Trick Room users to get in the Mega Camel to start doing some damage, but I don't know how often that's going to come, like maybe once or twice this season. But I think Terra Enamorous is going to be great, and I think Quaquaval is really good, although it loves to use Terra, and it has a really hard time setting up without it, I feel. And then Cinderace is a really good mon, really good breaker, really good even like support Pokemon with like Super Fang, Taunt, Court Change. I think Cinderace is a great Pokemon. I love it. I'm personally not a big fan of Zamazenta Crowned. I know there are some people that are. It's a very contentious Pokemon, or controversial Pokemon. I know they're like half the people on one side who say it's great, and then there's another half that says it's horrible. I'm in the half that says it's horrible, but that's me. I would definitely love to see more knockoff though to support the Zamazenta. So next, let's take a look at their speed tiers. They have really good Choice Scarf users. I really like that. They have Cinderace, Enamorous, Modem, and Quaquaval. So I really like that. That's really nice to take off pressure of Zamazenta because it it can't hold an item other than Dauntless or what is it, Rusted Shield. So having really good and fast choice scarf users is amazing. I like the screens option with Klefki. I think that's great for their setup. It helps Zamazenta set up Enamorous, Kokavo, Cinderace. So I love that. I love the screen support they have. Um, okay, now let's take a look at their type chart. Are they weak to ground? They have a lot of mons that are weak to ground. I don't know if they're necessarily weak to ground though. I think realistically, the only mon you're going to be switching in on ground types is like Rotom, and plus your main Terra Captain is Enamorous, so it's going to lose its flying typing. And I guess you're not going to be throwing in Zamazenta on ground type attacks, but it can definitely take ground type attacks, both physical and special, because of its incredible bulk. So I think that's okay. I actually like the Autono paired with Zamazenta with Wish Pass and also Heal Ball or Aromatherapy to heal rest from Zamazenta. So because Zamazenta struggles to stay healthy, so Wish Pass and Heal Ball is really nice to support Zama. I guess knockoff as well, but I don't know if Autono is the greatest knockoff user for Zama. They have a really good Ghost type switch in Autono, and I guess they're kind of weak to flying as well because like Klefki isn't the greatest answer to like a Torn T. But all in all, I think the team it's really strong, has a lot of power with the Enamorous, Sama, Kokwavel, Cinderace, even Dragalge. And then it has really good defensive support in Autono and Klefki and Rotom. So I think it's solid, and I like the screen support they have as well for the setup sweepers. The only thing I don't like are the rockers. I really wish they had better rockers. I think I would maybe try to invest in a better ground type. And I don't know how necessary Wobbuffet is on this team either. Yeah, so I'd try to invest in a better ground type, a better rocker. And oh, wait, does this team have a dark type? No. Wow, it's another team without a dark type. Yeah, so they're really going to struggle with these, like, the slow twins, both like Kanto and Galar forms, I feel. And plus Zama really struggles into all of those mons as well. It can't really break the slow twins. I guess they do have a Namorous, but you got to make doubles in order to catch the twins. And like Glow King and Slow King both check it really well, and I guess Glowbro can as well. Yeah, so those matchups might be a little tough. Yeah, I wish he had a better rocker, but other than that, I think the team is pretty solid. I say it would be, I actually like it. Yeah, I like it more than Willow Rush's team. I think the offense is a little bit better. And Macus does have the bulk on his team as well. So, yeah, I like that. Okay, next let's go to AS Kid or BKA Onon, and let's go over his team. So, he has Iron Valiant, Tapu Koko, Terra Regieleki with Ice Grass type, Espathra, Hawlucha, Mega Garchomp, Celebi, Why Not, Terra Gorbis with Water Fairy typing, Leavanny, and Vulpix Alola. So first off, his Terra Captains, Regieleki is phenomenal. I think it's going to be a menace this season, like Jolteon, but to even more of an extent, Regieleki hates ground types because it has no coverage, but it being able to Terra, and it does learn Terra Blast, so it can gain stab ice type moves or grass type moves to hit the ground types, and that's phenomenal. And plus Regieleki is so fast, it outspeeds like I think it with like timid max speed, Regieleki can outrun like base 115 choice scarfers, which is absolutely insane. So I love the Regieleki pick. And then Gorbis, I think they just went with their second best option as a Terra Captain because you only have 25 points, so there's nothing else that can Terra on your team besides the Gorbis, so it makes sense. And Water makes sense just to give you additional power on your water type moves, and then Fairy makes sense for kind of a more defensive approach. I maybe would have done a second type that assists Gorbis in hitting like opposing water types. I don't think Gorbis has that good of coverage, so I think a coverage type would have helped more than a defensive type here. Anyway, let's go on to the team breakdown. So their team, I will say, is incredibly threatening offensively. Just their first like 6 Pokemon are also insanely threatening. And I really like that. And then Tapu Koko supports the Iron Valiant with booster energy and also supports Regieleki in hitting harder with its electric type moves, and plus ground types aren't a free switch into a Lucky anymore because it can Terra. I like Hawlucha, that works as well with the Tapu Koko to get its Unburden, and then Mega Garchomp is just a phenomenal Pokemon all around, and it does keep Scale Shot this gen, so it can boost its speed and become an absolute menace. And it gains spikes this generation, like regular Garchomp, so it's a really, really good hazard setter. The only thing I really don't like is the Espathra, because I really don't know why he picked the Espathra, because you picked Regieleki the round before, and you're always gonna, if you draft Regieleki in this format because it's 17 points, you're always gonna, or like, you're basically forced to Terra it, and that is not a bad thing at all. That's a really good thing that Regieleki can Terra. So I don't know why he grabbed the Espathra, because I feel like it relies so heavily on setup in order to do damage or be threatening. So I don't like that. I would drop a Pokemon here. They actually don't have a Steel type, so I think you could drop Espathra, and it's what, 14 points for a non-Terramon. I would drop Espathra and get a Steel type that can set rocks. Like Adrachi would be good. Metagross, I think, is still here, right? Where is it? Yeah, Metagross is still on the board. Yeah, Metagross, Jirachi, I think would be really solid. You could even do Glamora for a hazard setting, and you also don't have a Grounded Poison, so I think Glamora would be actually excellent here, because you don't have a Grounded Poison, and you don't have toxic spikes either, and Glamora would be phenomenal on this team, and supporting this team and getting things in range with its hazards for Iron Valiant and Regieleki, even Hawlucha. So I think dropping Espathra and picking up Glamora would be amazing here. But let's get into their hazard setting and removal options. So their main setter is going to be the Mega Garchomp, but then they have rocks on Celebi as well. They have Webs Leavanny. I feel like it's kind of a waste of a pick, because this team is so fast that you don't need Webs. And Mega Garchomp doesn't even really need it, because you can just Scale Shot. And Fairy types don't really want to come into Mega Garchomp, because the base 170 attack and Earthquakes are like two-shotting most Fairies. And yes, I don't know if that's necessary. I think they could have gotten a better 2-point mon. You could have gotten like a Gloom or Muck or something. Even though I think they should drop a Espathra for Glamora. I think that'd be great. And then the removal options, they have Spin Regieleki, Defog Tapu Koko, Defog Hawlucha. I have seen more and more defensive Hawluchas this generation, but that's mainly in the pre-home, the Paldea pre-home or post-home decks, and that's to be like a Great Tusk check, or like a defensive check into physical attackers that can't really hit it that well. So I have seen more of a defensive Hawlucha this generation, but I think Defog Koko and Rapid Spin Regieleki are really, really solid. Now onto their momentum. I love Tapu Koko. I think it's one of the best enabler Pokemon in all of Draft. I think on this team in particular, it fits really well with its momentum and pivoting around and getting an Iron Valiant or Regieleki for free, because Tapu Koko does force pretty specific switches into like ground, poison, or grass types. And then you can get in your Iron Valiant or Regieleki, or even Garchomp, and start just punching holes through the opposing team. So I think that's a great option. And then you have Volt Switch Regieleki as well. And like I said earlier, most ground types don't want to come into Regieleki anymore because it can Terra. And then I wouldn't really count Hawlucha or Espathra as U-turners. I don't think they can do that role well at all. Maybe like a defensive Holucha set, but that's about it. And then they have Celebi as U-turner as well, and I think that's pretty solid. As for their priority, they have Shadow Sneak, Iron Valiant, Extreme Speed, Regieleki, and I guess Sucker Punch, Celebi, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Onto their taunters and phasers. They have Taunt Coco, Valiant, Hawlucha. I think those are three really good taunt users. I like that. I thought Celebi got taunt. That's weird. Two knockoff users isn't the best, and knockoff might be really good with Regieleki just to get rid of like resist berries for the ground types. So like maybe another Pokemon that forces in ground types that can run knockoff would be good on this team. And I'm not gonna count Leavanny. So offensively, I think this team is very insanely threatening. Now defensively, I don't think the team is sound at all. I think they do have some defensive pieces. Like Tapu Koko can run, it can check like quite a few Pokemon. So I think that's okay. But like you just don't have that many defensive checks because the team is so offensive. You have like Celebi, and that's like it. I guess Mega Garchomp if you want to be bulky, but you lose Rough Skin when you Mega, so you can't even run like a helmet for defensive sets. I guess you can just stay regular Garchomp, but I don't know. The team does have so many weaknesses, but because the Regieleki, it like makes up for it pretty much. But the fact that the team doesn't have a single Ghost Resist, and even a thought of a Ghost Resist, because there is no Mon on this team that wants to come into like a Spectre. But I think that's the thing. Like Spectre went undrafted. I think most of the Ghost types went undrafted. But I guess you could do like a Scarf Dragapult, and that would kind of run through the team, right? Because you could just be Scarf, Shadow Ball, and like just about get a kill every time it comes in, because the team is so frail on the special side. Yeah, so I think that would be, yeah, that's pretty insane. The team has no Fairy Resist either. Jeez, man, I think the team is so threatening offensively though that it's gonna make the prep for the opponent tough. So I hope the opponent doesn't fall for the trap of trying to defensively check everything. I think what you have to do as the opponent is find the right time to set up with Amon and just try to win from there and support your win con really well. But that means AS Kid, he has to play like perfectly as well with this offensive of a team. But he does have some flexibility with like Light Screen and Reflect, Tapu Koko, and I guess you could count like Aurora Veil, Vulpix, Alola, maybe. I don't know. I think the team is so threatening offensively. I gotta put it like, man, this is so hard. I think if he gets rid of the Espathra and puts like a Glamora, I think the team would be one of the best in the in this entire division. Just to help out with setting hazards, being a T-Spike absorber, and then also setting up your own T-Spikes while just being hit by a physical move. So I think that would really help out this team. I don't know if I can put it above Macus's though. Even Willow Rush, I don't know if I can put it above them. I think I can just because of how threatening offensively it is. And because Regieleki outspeeds all the new Mons. Yeah, I love the team offensively. It's horrible defensively though, but he does have plenty of revenge killing options into threats. So I think that makes this team better than a lot of the other ones. Yeah, I think he should just get rid of the Espathra though and get Glamora, and I think the team would be phenomenal. Okay, now let's go on to Viva. And his team is Chi-Yu, Tornadus Therian, Terra, Flying, and Steel. Clefable, Garchomp, Rotom-Wash, Amoonguss, Mega Absol, Corsola Glar, Sandslash, Terra Cradily with Steel Ground typing, Strudel, and Illumise. So his Terra captains, I think. So first off, Terra Torn with Flying and Steel. I think Tornado Therian, like I've said in previous videos, is one of the best Terra captains in the format. And the reason for that is because you can just Terra Flying because it's free, because Flying is already a really good typing, and it's what Torn has had forever. So I think it's just fine there. Plus what it does is it gives you a 100% accurate physical or special flying type move, and I think that is amazing for Torn because that is something that it's or that like holds it down kind of in a sense. I don't even know if hold it down is the right term, but you know what I mean. You have to hit hurricanes. Yeah, well, in the past you had to hit hurricanes, and then the only physical flying move you had was acrobatics, or you had to use a piss weak air slash. But now you have Terra, so you can terrestrialize, gain an adaptability boost on your flying type moves, and yeah, Terra Blast does count as an adaptability type because it changes to flying type. Yeah, so I think that really helps Torn out. And there are some times where Torn likes to run like an assault vest or just a like a physical set. Like you could just be 4 attacks physical, bulk up, or a physical assault vest user, but it would be stuck with acrobatics. So now that it can just use physical Terra Blast, I think that's phenomenal for Torn. And plus it makes hurricanes and like bleak wind storms just an absolute nuke. And Torn already has great coverage to hit steel types in Heat Wave. And plus, I didn't even talk about the steel type yet and how much that helps Torn defensively. It makes it resistant to steel and ice, or sorry, rock and ice, which it was weak to, and then it makes it neutral to electric. And it doesn't really help it beat electrics, but if you just support your team well enough, I think you'll be fine. But the second Terra captain, Cradilly, I don't know about this one. I don't know. I think Cradilly's pretty bad overall as a Pokemon. I would have tried to draft something better that's to support the team. Yeah, I don't know. I think the typings that Trent chose are okay though. Steel and ground are fine. Steel typing just to be, I guess, a defensive type. Not sure why I did ground, but I think that's okay. I guess ground, you're immune to water, so you're really only weak to grass and ice. But yeah, I don't know. I think I would have done a better second Terra captain. Anyway, let's get into his team. So I think his top 7 are phenomenal. Chiyu, Torn, Clefable, Garchomp, Rotom-Wash, Amoonguss, and Mega Absol. I think all of those Pokemon are amazing. I think Mega Absol is pretty slept on, and most of the time it goes undrafted. It's just because people want a better Mega, and it's not that it's a bad Pokemon, but it's definitely not like one of the best Megas. But I think it's really solid. Has really good speed tier, has priority Sucker Punch, great coverage on the physical and special side. So I like the Mega Absol, and then yeah, just like their top 6 is insane. I think Garchomp is insane. This is going to be insane this generation. We already know Chiyu is insane this generation. Torn is going to be crazy offensively with Terra Flying, and Clefable is going to be Clefable. Now I don't know how good it's going to be this gen because there was another step in power creep, and plus there's just like overall in power creep with the new Paradox Mons and the new legendaries. Now Trent does have one of those legendaries in Chiyu that would be able to muscle past Clefable, but it also got hit hard with the recovery nerf, or the PP nerf to recovery. So now it can only use soft boiled 8 times or moonlight 8 times, but it didn't weaken Wish. So I guess the Wish sets are okay, but I don't think Wish Clefable is that good in draft because it really limits your move slots. But I think Clefable will be okay. Anyway, let's get on to his hazard setting. So he has Sandslash, Garchomp, Cradilly, Corsola, Galarian, Clefable. So I think it's mainly just going to be Garchomp and Clefable that come every week. So I think those two being able to rock is really good. And then for spikes, he has Sandslash and Garchomp. I think I think those are fine. I think Garchomp you're going to be mainly using the spikes on. I don't know if it can put the move slot. I guess you can, because even if you're like Swords Dance, like Earthquake, Scale Shot sets, you're still going to need a fourth move. And it might be coverage, or like what people would do is used to run rocks. So now you can just run spikes alongside Rock's Clefable. I think that would be fine. Okay, Trent does have a grounded poison. I got a little worried there. Didn't see a T-Spike user, but I don't know if this team necessarily needed toxic spikes. I think the team hits hard enough with Chiyu, Torn, and Garchomp and Mega Absol that he'll be okay without T-Spikes. The removal, he has Tornadus, Therian, Rotom Wash, and Illumise, and then he has Rapid Spin, Sand Slash. I think those are pretty good options, and like I said, I think it's just going to be the first 7 that come every week. So Defog, Torn, and Rotom are a great combination, so I think that's great. The momentum users, Volt Switch, Rotom, and U-Turn Torn. I think both of those are phenomenal, and then Teleport Clefable as well. I think that's good. Those are really, really good momentum users. As for the priority, it's really only the Sucker Punch Mega Absol, I believe. I guess Rotom. I'm not counting that though. But the Sucker Punch Absol, so I think that's all right. That's good enough. Like, at least he has a priority user, a good user of priority. As for the taunt mons, really good taunters in Torn, Mega Absol, Chiyu. I think that's great. Lots of really good knockoff users as well. I really like this. Nocturne, Clefable, Mega Absol are absolutely phenomenal in supporting this team. To potentially get rid of like Assault Vest on Pokemon for Chiyu or even Torn, but Torn can just do it for itself as well. But to assist Chiyu or knock off a Resist Berry for Garchomp, or I don't know, like knock off a Leftovers or something. So I think that's good. As for the speed tiers, I think the speed tiers are really good. He has a good great choice scarf user in Chiyu and Rotom Wash, and then outside of that, doesn't really have much. And then the speed tiers are pretty solid, like Clef and Mungus. One of my big complaints about the team, though, is that the team really drops off after Mega Absol, I feel. I don't know how well Trent drafted after the Mega Absol, but I don't know how much it really matters, though, because he got a Spinner and Sand Slash, so I think that was okay. I think I might have gone like a Kamala or something if that was available for a normal type, because the dark type, what's your Ghost Resist? Oh yeah, Shroodle. Is that a Mon? And then he has Chiyu and Mega Absol for Ghosts, and I don't think that's great into like a Dragapult game, but he has Unaware Clefable for Dragapult, so I think that's fine. I'm just not in love with the 5 low tier mons. I think there could be improvements made on this. As for the weaknesses go, he's got pretty solid resistances to his weaknesses, and like you could count Tornadus as an ice, flying, and rock resist if it can Terra Steel. And I think it might end up being that most weeks, but even if it's just offensive Torn, I think that's fine as well, because I think offensive Torn is going to be phenomenal this gen. The flying resistance Rotom isn't great, but well, I guess Rotom does have Pain Split this generation, so it'll be fine. And then the rock resists are just Garchomp and Sand Slash. So the team, I don't even think it's weak to like a Mega DNC matchup, because you have too much. I think the Amoonguss and Clefable are good enough, and then you can do Terra, Steel, Tornadus, and that's a great Chiyu check, Mega DNC check as well. And even if the Mega DNC catches you with an Earth Power, it doesn't even matter, because you threaten it out with Terra Steel, Terra Blast. So I don't think the team has any real inherent weaknesses. Maybe like the Iron Bundle and Chen Pao matchups. I think both of those matchups might be a little tough, but you're gonna have to do like Terra Steel Torn to handle those. And I think like Assault Vest Terra Steel Torn can handle Iron Bundle, and then it can definitely handle Chen Pao as well. Maybe not the Sacred Swords, but I think Rotom Wash and Clefable will be able to handle the Chen Pao. So and then like a Valiant, he has a Moongus, and I don't think it can be choice locked this game. So I think offensively Trent is fine, and he has so many threats offensively: the Chiyu, the Torn, Garchomp, Mega Absol, and then you also shouldn't sleep on like a Calm Mind Clef. Um, I just hope Trent doesn't bring his low tier mons. I don't think there's ever a need, and like please don't ever Terra Cradily. There's literally no reason to ever Terra a Cradily over a Tornadus. Please don't do that. Um, but overall, I think the team is really solid. I think the first seven are just so phenomenal, and they all work so well together, offensively and defensively. I think that's good. I think this is the best team that we've seen so far. Now I don't know about the low tier mons. I would try to fix up something about the last five. I don't even know if you don't even need 12 mons. You could drop two of these mons, or like drop all of them and pick up three mons to help round out the team better and use your points better. Cause yeah, I'm really not feeling these mons. He has 12. He could use 12 points for three mons, and I think he could definitely find better use of the points than what he has down here. So that's the only thing I would change up with this team. Okay. Next, let's go to SPZ and Gwenyan. Sorry about that. Just had to take a drink real quick. So they have Mega DNC, Terra Melmetal, Steel and Water, Slowking Galar, Dragonite, Tapu Fini, Rhyperior, Terra Wo Chen, Poison Fairy, typing, Crobat, Vespiquen, Smeargle, and Rapska. So let's talk about the Terra captains first. I think Terra Melmetal is an absolute menace, especially with Steel. And I'm pretty sure I saw a calc the other week that a banded Terra Steel Melmetal, 2 shots of Corviknight, full defense Corviknight, which is insane. And so Terra Steel is great. Steel's obviously like one of the best defensive types in the game, but it also further boosts Double Iron Bash by Melmetal. And then the Water typing is another defensive type, and it gets rid of the Steel Fire fighting weakness. It doesn't cover. I guess it only covers the Fire type weakness there. But it helps. It still helps Melmetal. Actually, I don't know. Can't really think of what would be a better type for Melmetal. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think you're just going to be Steel most of the time anyway. But then Wo Chen, you have Poison Fairy. I think Fairy is good as a defensive type, and both of these types get rid of your 4 times bug weakness, so I think that's good. Poison actually makes you immune to Toxic, and everything gets Toxic back that had it before. So things like Dragonite has Toxic back, so it could Toxic the Wo Chen. And I really like their Terra Captains. They're a little slow, and there's no setup sweepers. As the Terra Captain, so I don't know how great that is, but Melmetal just hits so damn hard, I think that it'll be okay. And Terra is banned on the Dragonite, so that's why he didn't choose Dragonites. Yeah, so I think the Terra Captains are good. I really like the Terra Melmetal. I think it's just going to be an absolute nuke. It was already tough to switch into, but nothing's really going to switch into it anymore with Terra Steel. So let's get into their breakdown here. So they're rockers. They have Rhyperior and they have Rhyperior and Mega DNC. Mega DNC also gains spikes this generation. And then their other spiker is Vespiquen, and they have 2 T-Spikes users, and Vespiquen and Slowking Galar. So let's talk about that real quick. Their rock setters aren't phenomenal, but Mega DNC usually forces pretty specific switches as well. So, or it's one of those kind of mons. So it can usually get rocks up, and now that it has spikes as well, that's pretty solid. So you can spike alongside Rhyperior's rocks, and Rhyperior is a mon that's I imagine is going to come to most games. So I like that, and I like their T Spikes users as well. And I like Slow King Galar. Not sure about Vespiquen. I think it might be able to come to a few matches, but I don't know. It is a Vespiquen. As for the removal, They have Tapu Fini, Dragonite, Crobat, and then Vespiquen. I think their removal options are okay. I would like to see a spinner though, because you do have the options of settings or hazard stacking with spikes and rocks. So I think that would be a little better. Um, their momentum users are a little weak. I guess they have Slowking Galar with Chili Reception and then U-Turn Crobat, and I don't think Vespiquen is going to come that often. I would like to see more momentum for Mega DNC and Melmetal. I think that would be a lot better. Their priority is pretty solid with Extreme Speed, Dragonite, and same with Aqua Jet. So I think that's okay. And they have two knockoff users. They have Wochun and Tapu Fini, and both of those are okay at it. Tapu Fini kind of struggles to fit it in its moveset, but Wochun can definitely run knockoff. They have a lot. Why does Slowking get taunt? That's interesting. I didn't know that. They have a lot of taunt users. I feel like the team's pretty slow and it's trying to be really bulky. I wish there were a couple more defensive pivots on the team for the Mega DNC because it's something that struggles to get in a lot. But I do like the Trick Room, Slowking, and Melmetal combo, or even Rhyperior. I feel like that's going to be really strong. Let's see, what else do they have? So looking at their speed tiers, the team is really slow, and there's pretty big gaps between things like Crobat to DNC. I guess that's not like a huge gap, but there are a lot of mons now that are in like the 115 plus range. But I guess you're still forcing them to run plus speed natures. But the big thing to me is the drop off between DNC and Fini, because Tapu Fini doesn't like to run speed most of the time. So the base, and there's a lot of base with 105 or like in that area of mons, and then a lot of base 100s obviously, and even like base 95 pluses, and they can just absolutely freely run plus attack natures. So yeah, that is tough here. As for the weaknesses, the team does have a few weaknesses to like electric ice. The rock weaknesses are pretty tough as well. Like the edge quake combo kind of does well versus this team. Then their steel resists aren't great either, and a lot of steels get pretty decent coverage, like ground coverage as well, so they can hit the Melmetal. But the team is really bulky, and it does have the offensive pieces, so I think they'll be okay. The Mega DNC, I think it's going to really carry here, and I think they're going to be forced to run like a DD Dragonite as well, which is fine. DD Dragonite is a great Pokemon. But then they have like Banded Melmetal to just punch holes through teams. So I think the opponent is going to have to play smart and build well around the Terra Melmetal. But then I think the team could lead to like a few Mega DNC endgames, and they have a good priority user with the Dragonite. Even like a setup Fini could do well here. Also, I'd give the team like a B. I think is it better than Willow Rush's? I think it's about the same level. I think it's about like right here. Okay, with that, we'll be right back. And we're back. So I think I'm going to change the SPZ and Gwynyon ranking. I think I'm going to put them right below Willow Rush. I think I like Willow Rush's team a little more offensively, and I think they hit hard enough. I don't know. I think it's about the same. Let's see. The removal, I don't think either removal is fantastic, but they have the options. I think I like the momentum support better on Willow Rush's team over SPZ's and Gwynyon's. Okay, so with that, let's go into the Gracious Salami and Rosewood team. So they have Zapdos, Politoed, Iron Treads, Mega Swampert, Terra Gudra with Dragon Water, Terra Breloom with Fighting Electric, Everquill, Sneasel, Slurpuff, Kingdra, and Shuckle. So first off, their Terra captains. I don't love either of them. I feel like they could have done Zapdos or Kingdra as their higher tier Terra captain, and they still, well, if they did Kingdra, they still could have done one of Breloom or Gudra, and yeah, I think they would have been better off. And I don't know if I really like Gudra on this team because of the Kingdra, and I kind of get that they do different things, but I think Kingdra is just better, and I would do. I mean, you could just still do stabs for Kingdra, or you could do. Uh, what? Yeah, I think you could just get away with the stabs, maybe, or maybe even like fairy, just to not be checked by other, like a scarf dragon. I don't know. I think the stabs would just be fun on Kingdra, so that way you hit harder because its offenses are pretty lackluster. Um, but the Breloom, I think Breloom is all right. I think Breloom and Kingdra would be the better pairing here. And I like the Terra types for Breloom, fighting just to make Mach Punch on CC stronger, and then Electric to help out in the like the Flying Steel Bird matchup, like Skarmory, Corviknight, Celesteela. I think that's better. Okay, let's show here. I think the round 2 Politoed is really interesting. I think they definitely reached on that pick. I don't think they needed to get it that early. I think they could have gotten another Rain Abuser earlier. Or like just like could they have gotten Torn T? Oh, you're kidding me. They could have gotten Torn T round 1 if they intended to get a. That's insane. Because Terra Flying Hurricane would be insane. So I think they missed the opportunity there. They could have done Terra Zapdos as well. I think that would have been a solid option, but Zapdos really likes its typing, I feel. So I'm not sure about that. But offensive Terra Zapdos would be an absolute nuke. Like you could just do flying and then a coverage to hit like opposing electric types. Or not. Yeah, electric types. Yeah, well it has Weather Ball, so I mean that kind of helps. Let's see. So yeah, I'm not in love with their Terra captains. They could probably do Kingdra over Goodra. But next, let's go to the Rockers or Hazard setting. So they have Shuckle, Mega Swampert, and Iron Shreds, and then they have Spikes, Overquill, T-Spikes, Overquill, and Sneasel. I think that's incorrect. I don't think Sneasel gets T-Spikes. I think the Hisuian one does. I think that was a mistake in the doc. They have 2 Webbers. I think that's kind of redundant. Probably could have just stuck with Slurpuff or Shuckle, and I don't think Webs are super necessary on a Rain team anyways. The removal, I like the removal, G-Fox Zapdos and Rapid Spin, Iron Treads. I mean, you could probably get away with running both if you need to each week. And Zapdos beats most of the Rockers, and then Treads has a really good speed tier and gets a pretty free spin most of the time as well. So I like that. I like their hazard setting too. I think it's pretty solid. The Rockers might not be the greatest, but I think either Pert or Treads, like they're probably both going to come every week, and one of them can run rocks. As for the Spiker, I really like Overquill too, and it's another Rain Abuser potentially with Swim. But I think on this team it would be more of a defensive role with Poison Point or Intimidate. Yes, but I still like having the Spikes option. It's really nice for Pert Treads, and because both of those mons like appreciate the Spike support. As for their momentum, they have Zapdos and Iron Shreds. That's why I think Pelipper would be so much better, because that's why Pelipper is just so much better in general because over Politoed, because it can U-turn out and gain momentum for your team. Like a slow U-turn is great, and I don't think Politoed gets a flip turn, so yeah, I don't think it's as good. As for the priority, they have Mach Punch, Breloom, and Aqua Jet, Overquill, and Ice Shard Sneasel. Those are okay options. I like Mach Punch. Breloom is the best and most consistent option. And plus, you can Terra it and make it that much stronger. So I think that's good. For the knockoff users, they have Shuckle, Iron Treads, and Sneasel. I like Iron Treads. I think it can fit it. Treads does kind of have 4 move slot syndrome, but has really good moves to choose from. So I think as long as you just pick the right moves each week, that's really good. Plus, you can knock off helmets for like Mega Swampert, or you can get rid of like Resist Berries for Zapdos, or like a Safety Goggles for Breloom. I think that would be good. Next, let's take a look at their speed tiers. The speed tiers are pretty. It looks pretty solid, although they have 3 mods at the 70 base level. So like anything slower can just run full bulk versus them. So it's not fantastic. I think there are a couple of redundancies on the team that I would patch up, like the Shuckle and Slurpuff. I think you can just choose one and drop the other. I'd probably stick with Slurpuff, drop Shuckle, but I don't think you need webs anyway, so I think you can just drop both, get a good fairy. Sneasel, I don't think it's really necessary at all. I guess the speed tier is nice, but I don't know. The speed tier might be nice, but you have a really good dark type anyway in Overquill, so I'm not sure. I think Sneasel would just be good because the knockoff support in the speed tier. Yeah, then what else? Okay, I guess let's go into the type chart now. So they have a massive fairy weakness, and Iron Treads it's a pretty solid fairy check, but it's like not a good Iron Valiant check, and it's not the greatest Mega Dancy check either. Like a Rock Polish Mega Dancy would kind of go crazy here once Polytoe's weakened, and I think you need some chip on the Mega Pert as well, but yeah, Rock Polish Dancy would just kind of sticks out this team. Then the team's also pretty weak to Bundle and Chen Pao as well. So I think, well, I mean, they could get like a Tauros Paldea, the water one, to help out in the Chen Pao department. But as for Bundle, if they just had a better Spit F wall, that would really help out. Yeah, you might have to get creative and run like Yachi Polytoad for Freeze Dry or like Yachi Gudra. Yeah, because even Terra Water Gudra, you're still weak to Freeze Dry, so Yachi would still be applicable. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe Gudra is bulky enough to handle it. I don't know. I don't think so though, because Bundle can just U-turn or flip turn on you. What else? Really weak too. Yeah, they're pretty weak in the Valiant matchup as well. I'm pretty sure Kingdra's faster in Rain though. If Valiant is the booster energy set. Yeah, and Valiant does get coverage to hit Pert. It gets Energy Ball. Yeah. So they'll have to play around those matchups, and like Dragapult would be pretty menacing into this team as well. So I think there's a couple of matchups that they're going to struggle with. I think the team is pretty good offensively though. Oh, I forgot that Mega Swampert gets flipped turn. Yeah, I did try that. Yeah, I think the team offensively is going to be fine just because you have Mega Swampert, Kingdra, Zapdos, and like that's pretty good offensive core. Then you have Braylon, which could be a pretty good breaker or disruptor with Spore. And you can't really sleep on Overquill as well. That could be heat, like a game or two. Be like a Swords Dance Overquill set that Swift Swim. That might be all right. It has pretty good attack, base 115. Jeez. Yeah, I just think they have a couple matchups that they're going to struggle with. I like the team offensively though. I think it's good rockers, good hazard setting. I think I would get rid of Slurpuff and Shuckle, and maybe even Sneasel just to trade in for a better fairy. Yeah, they could definitely make the points. Make the points for that work. Yeah, because Sneasel and Slurpuff are pretty expensive, and I think they could get a better mon than Shuckle, because I don't really think Shuckle works well on this team. Okay, so where would I put this? I would say, do I like this? I think it's around like here. I think it's above Theo and Ace Titaniums, just because I think it's stronger. Actually, I don't know. I think it's below. because I don't think they have very good defensive mons here on this team for the meta. I guess Overcool can be a decent Chin Pal answer, but yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I think it's right around this area. I think it does hit harder than Theo and Ace Titaniums, and I think that's going to be something that Theo and Ace Titanium find out this season, is that the team struggles to find offense and breaking power. Okay, so next let's go on to Timbo. And his team is Mega Gallade, Ursalunas, Terra Salamence with Fire and Flying, Rotom Heat, Weezing Galar, Terra Cloyster with Ice and Ground, Caparajah, Mesprit, Grafai, Persian Alola, and Regirock. Okay, let's see here. So, I really like his Terra Captains. I like the Salamence Terra Captain a lot. I love the Flying type as a Terra type for it because it makes the special sets hit that much harder with Hurricane, or you can just run special Terra Blast for it if your opponent has a physical wall like Slowbro or something that's really nice. But even physical Terra Blast is really good because that way you don't have to rely on dual Wing Beat missing. You don't have to rely on dual Wing Beat and it has a chance to miss. So Terra Blast is 100% accurate, so that's really nice. And it also gives you the adaptability boost on your flying moves, and I think that pairs really well with the Moxie for a snowballing effect for a Dragonite Sweeper, so I really like that. And then Cloyster as the second Terra Captain, and it's Ice Ground. Oh, I didn't talk about the Fire typing for Ments. I think that helps out a lot because it gets rid of the Fairy Ice weakness, and then it also makes you immune to Will-O-Wisp, so I think it's pretty solid for Ments. I like that a lot, and it also helps Ments in like the Steel type matchups. That way you have a stab move, and it gives you a harder hitting physical move because I think Ments had Fire Fang as its strongest fire type move. But now you have Terra Blast, Fire to hit those harder, and then that boosts the power of Flamethrower and Fire Blast on the special side as well. Next is Cloyster, and Timbo went with Ice and Ground. I think Ice is good just to make Icicle Spear hit that much harder and Ice Shard a little bit stronger. So I think that's solid. And then the Ground type, what does that help with? I guess it makes you immune to Electric and Rock. It resists Rock, but I don't know. I guess it helps Cloyster beat opposing Steel types. I think that was the main purpose of it. I don't know. I don't know how to rate Cloyster though, because it's kind of like a gimmick Pokemon, and it has terrible HP and SpDef, so it can just be taken advantage of. And I think if you prep and play around the Cloyster well, it won't be an issue. So I think Tim should just stick to tearing the Salamence as much as possible. Yeah, like maybe a better Terra user would have been like Mesprit or something, but I get why you chose the Cloyster because I personally like tearing the setup sweepers the most with Terra because it helps them out so much more. But I get why I did Cloyster. I maybe would have done like Mesprit just to get rid of its typing, give it like Steel, so it has a better defensive typing, and I think you could do like coverage, like fighting or something like that to dark types. But yeah, I think it's fine. So as far as his hazard setting, I think Tim has pretty solid hazard support. He has Regirock, Mesprit, and Caparajah. I think those are pretty solid low tier rockers. I think one of those is always going to come every week. So I think it's pretty good for Tim. And then he has spikes and T-Spike support from Cloyster, as well as T-Spike support from Weezing Galar, so I think that's solid. As for his removal, he has Weezing Galar, Salamence, Rotom, Heat, and Cloyster. I think those are pretty solid removal options. Ments can run Defog on like more defensive sets, and Weezing and Rotom, Heat, they fit Defog pretty easily on their sets, and Cloyster can get away with Rapid Spin as well if it wants to run a Spikes set as well. As for their momentum, they have Rotom Heat, Volt Switch, U-Turn, Persian Alola, U-Turn, Mesprit and U-turn Grafai, and if you want to count Teleport, Gallade, and Cloisters, then sure. I think Blunder ran Teleport. What did he run? Teleport, Cloister one time before, like a defensive set. And that was pretty cool, so maybe Tim can make that work once or twice. Oh, and he has Parting Shot, Pairs and Alola too. So I think the momentum is pretty solid from the low tier mons, and like most of them run decent amount of bulk as well, especially like the Rotom, Persian, and Mesprit. Grafai also gets Parting Shot as well, so that's pretty solid. Prankster Parting Shot also. So I think it's pretty solid to get in his offensive mons like Mega Glade, Ursaluna, Salamence, or even Cloister. Like Parting Shot into Cloister might be pretty nice support as well to help it Shell Smash easier. So I like that. As for his priority, he has Ice Shard, Cloister, and Shadow Sneak, Mega Glade, and Sucker Punch. Persian doesn't get Sucker Punch? That's kind of a robbery. Oh. The priority is okay, not the best. Cloister Ice Shard's probably the best, and you could maybe get away with a Shadow Sneak on Gallade every now and then. But yeah, it's alright. Let's see what else. So I like all the different taunt options that Tim has. I think it's really solid, and I like the knockoff support he has as well. He has 4 really good users of knockoff. I really like that. That can help Mence. That can help Mence sweep for sure, or even Ursaluna get rid of the Rocky helmets for it. As far as the offensive components of the team, it doesn't really have that many good special attackers on the team. It's very physically oriented, but even then, like physical walls, there's no way physical walls are going to be able to handle Mega Gallade, Ursaluna, and Salamence on the same team. So I think what Tim should do most matchups is just use a Flame Orb Ursaluna to punch holes through the team, and then you can either set up a win with Mega Gallade or Salamence. And Ursaluna has such incredible bulk that, wow, 130 HP, 105 defense, and 80 spit F. I didn't realize how it had 130 HP. That's insane. But Ursaluna has such incredible bulk that it can live like any hit, and it's not 4 times weak to anything. So it's always going to live hits. And it has 2 immunities as well to Ghost and Electric. And it's going to get kills with Facades and Earthquakes. And I think it gets Headlong Rush too. So it's just going to be an absolute nuke of a Pokemon. And yeah, I think the goal of this team is to try to punch holes in the opposition with Ursaluna and maybe Mega Gallade to set up for a Salamence in game. I think that's what Tim should try to aim for most of the time. And I think he has pretty good support. He has hazard removal. He has good hazard removal support, removing support. And then he has good fairy checks in Verdant Heat and Copperajah as well. So I think he's pretty solid in this department offensively. And then the Mence can be special also. But yeah, outside of the Mence, he doesn't really have much special attacking presence. So that might come into play in a couple of matchups. But let's see. So his speed tiers, he doesn't have that many good Scarf options. I guess you could do Mence or Rotom Heat. I think those are, I guess Mesprit too. There's like 3 okay Scarf options. I don't think I've seen Scarf Salamence since like Black White OU. But I think the team is set up well. It looks a little quirky, but I think the speed tiers are good. There's no like super big holes. He doesn't have a super fast mon, which might come into play against the new mons like Iron Bundle, Chen Pao, and Valiant. Let's see how he does in those matchups. So against Chen Pao, I think Chen Pao is like gonna get a kill just about every time it comes in. Actually, maybe not. Maybe Persian can take it on with Fur Coat, or like Wheezing Galar as well. But yeah, I'm not sure how well those take hits. Now the Iron Bundle department Tim is very weak in. He's definitely gonna have to run like AV Mesprit, AV Kaparaja to help deal with that. I don't really think there's anything else that Tim is too weak to. He has pretty good fighting type switch-ins, so I wouldn't even say he's weak to fighting types because a lot of them are physical, and he has Intimidate, Mence, Wheeze and Galar, 4x resist, and then Mesprit, which is a really good pivot as well. Kind of weak to the water types. Yeah, he's actually pretty weak to water types because a lot of water types carry or have ice coverage like Ice Beam. So water types might be an issue. Like a Tapu Fini would look actually really good into this team. I don't think it kills Ursaluna though, unless it's like +1 and has Hydro Pump. So that could be something. Yeah, let's see. Are there any other really good water types at the moment, or like in the high tiers? Just Iron Bundle. Greninja wasn't drafted. Oh, oh god, Palafin. Yeah, Palafin would look really good into this team. Yeah, Palafin would kind of destroy this team. You don't even have to be physical. You can be special Palafin, which is crazy. Okay, so let's go ahead and rank Tim's team here. I think it's better than Gracious Salami and Rosewoods. Is it better than this? I think it is better than SPZ and Gwenyan's team. Yeah, so I'll put it there. Next we have Captain Funk, and he has Terra Great Tusk, Water and Fairy type, Mega Charizard Y, Meowscarada, Walking Wake, Screamtail, Celesteela, Skuntank as his second Terra Captain, Ghost and Flying, Tauros, Paldea, Water, Bramblegast, and Dashbun. So his Terra Captains, I think they're fine. I don't know about Skuntank. But like what else? Actually, Bramblegast is probably better because if you give it Ghost, then it has a good Ghost stab outside of like Phantom Force and Shadow Sneak. It would actually boost Shadow Sneak and give it like physical Terra Blast, Ghost. I think Bramblegast is a pretty decent mon if you can Terra it. I don't know about Skuntank though. I personally think Skuntank is terrible. So yeah, I would switch the Terra to Bramblegast. Now as for Great Tusk, I think Water Fairy is fine. Just give it defensive types. Yeah, I think that's okay. Yeah, I don't know what else you would really do. I guess you could argue for Walking Wake, but I think just because it's a Sun team, I think Walking Wake is gonna hit hard enough with its moves. So I think it's gonna be fine there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the team here. So his hazard mons, he has Screamtail, Great Tusk, Meowscarada, Bramblegast, and then T-Spikes on Skuntank and Meowscarada. I think the hazard control or hazard support here is really good. Sorry, yeah, the hazard setting is really, really good here. The rockers, pretty solid. The Screamtail kind of has a tough time fitting rocks in its move pool, but it certainly can. And then Great Tusk, I don't know if I would force it as a rocker every week. I think he should maybe drop Celesteela, get a steel that can set rocks for him. Because I think that would be better support for Tusk. Because Tusk also kind of has 4 move slot syndrome. A little bit. Because some weeks it wants to run. Well, like your stabs are a given, and then it wants to run like Rapid Spin, usually as well. And then the last move is between like Knock Off Ice Spinner or rocks. So, I think maybe he should get a steel type that can set rocks, but yeah, we'll see. I like the spike support that he has, and I like the spin options as well for the hazard stack that he wants. I don't think he should ever run Defog on Skuntank or Mega Charizard. Doesn't make any sense, and he has 2 great spinners as well. The one thing I definitely would do on this team is change the Terra from Skuntank to Bramblegast, make it Terra Ghost at least. And then the other type, you can make it whatever. Give it the coverage to hit. Yeah, I don't even know it, because Ghost Ghost Grass is like okay offensively, right? I would definitely give it Terra Ghost and then something you can figure out because it gets Power Whip, so it's pretty strong with that. I don't know, maybe like Fire to hit other grass types or something. Or you could give it like Dark to not be weak to Ghost and Dark. As for the momentum, it's pretty weak. I feel like a Sun team like this would need a lot of momentum, and he only has U-turn Masquerada. I think Dash Bun does get Baton Pass, so he can use that if he wants. But yeah, I kind of wish he had more momentum on this team to get in his threats, like Megazard Y, Great Tusk, Walking Wake, maybe even like an offensive Celesteela. I think that would be a lot better. As for his priority, he's got Sucker Punch, Masquerada, Sucker Punch, Skuntank, Aqua Jet, Tauros, Aqua. I think those are pretty solid options. Having to rely on 2 Sucker Punch mons though isn't the most consistent thing, but I think just having the option for priority is nice. As for the Taunters, he's got two really good Taunters in Tusk and Masquerada, and then 2 really good knockoff users in Great Tusk and Masquerada. So I like that. I think that's good. As for the speed tiers, he's got a really fast team. Wow. Like 9 of his Pokemon are faster than base 84. That's insane. And then 1 mon slower in Celesteela. But I think the speed is fine. Like, you're not going to run into many Trick Room teams in draft, and he has taunt options to prevent it as well. And he has pretty good bulky mons to counteract Trick Room, like Screamtail, Celesteela, Great Tusk. So I think he'll be okay. As for the team itself, so he's got Physical Breaker and Great Tusk, and then Special Breaker, Mega Charizard Y, Walking Wake. And I guess you could count Celesteela as like a physical or a special breaker if it wants to be offensive. And Banded Masquerada hits pretty hard as well. And same with Banded Tauros. But I don't know if Tauros really makes a lot of sense here, just because it typically likes to run water moves like Raging Bull or Aqua Jet or Wave Crash, and the Sun just hampers that. Now he does only have 5 turns of Sun though, with Charizard. I guess 4 technically, because you have to switch out. So I think it's okay, but I do like the photosynthesis mons that he has with the Sun, like Tusk, Walking Wake, Screamtail. I kind of wish he would have a second like low tier Sunsetter, something like Ninetales. That would be nice, just so you could run Heat Rock to extend your Sun turns for your like breakers and sweepers. I think that would be better. The team. So as far as the weaknesses go, yeah, if he faces a Terra Torn, it's looking really tough because Torn outspeeds just about everything on his team besides the Masquerada. But Masquerada doesn't kill Torn in 1 hit, and Torn kills it back in 1 hit. And then Torn also threatens the Celesteela with Heat Wave, and then Torn can taunt the Screamtail to prevent it from like Thunder Waving the Torn or like encoring it into a certain move. And it can prevent wishes and stuff with taunt. So yeah, I think Torn would be a really tough matchup here. Yeah, flying types, geez, they kind of run through this. And Iron Bundle would be incredibly tough into this team as well. I guess he has Screamtail. Yeah, Screamtail and Sun actually checks Bundle pretty well. And then Chen Pao might be kind of tough, but he has to get Sun up and then Screamtail in, and then Chen Pao can check Screamtail. But even then, Chen Pao could run like a Swords Dance taunt set against this team because Screamtail is most likely going to be the answer to the Chen Pao. So you can SD like on a Wish or on a Protect, and then or you could taunt it as well and just get damage on the Screamtail to open up for your team later. Then the team, I think the team does have like pretty decent ghost weaknesses. I don't think Meowscarada or Skuntank are that good of switch-ins to ghost types, but I think the only ghost type that was drafted that's like solid is Dragapult. But yeah, I think the team would kind of struggle against Dragapult because Screamtail is weak to it, but maybe like Protosynthesis with special defense Protosynthesis boost with leftovers would be good for Screamtail. But yeah, Skuntank and Meowscarada aren't going to do well in the Dragon Ball matchup. As for the fairy weakness, he does have Celesteela, so I think that can be okay. But I think I would get another steel type that resists, or sorry, a steel. I would get a steel type that can set rocks because that would help Screamtail and Great Tusk out a lot in their move slot pressure that those two already have. And then other than that, yeah, I don't think the team has like any major weaknesses. I think the Valiant matchup is okay. You have Screamtail, so that you're fine. Screamtail can check so many things. I think it's pretty slept on, but it does have pretty terrible attack and special attack stats. So maybe people will learn how to exploit it later on. But it does have Encore to prevent it being set up in front of its face. Yeah, and you have a lot of flexibility with its EVs and like speed stat as well. Where would I put this? I think I would put it. I think it's around Tim's team, personally. Or is it better than this? Actually, I don't even know if I can put ASK's team this high, but offensively it's so threatening. Captain Funk's team, I would put definitely above these. Just a second. Gotta do something real quick. So I think it would be. Is it better than this team? Yeah, I'm not sure if it would be better than this team. Or even Tim's. Actually, I kind of do. Yeah, I think I'll put it above Tim's. I do like the Sun Core. I think he should get maybe another Sunsetter if he can afford it. Yeah, and maybe drop like Tauros or Skuntank. I think Tauros is pretty redundant with Tusk and Wake, so I think you can drop that and get something else. I guess it does help you better, or help you more in the Chen Pao matchup, but yeah, I don't know. And I would definitely change the Terra to Bramblegast over Skuntank and possibly drop Skuntank for another poison type. Personally, not a big fan of it, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so next we have the Abyss Watcher. Just a second. Gotta do something real quick. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look at Abyss Watcher's team. So he's Iron Bundle, Sneasler, Heatran, Terra Heatran with Grass Flying, Palafin, Gliscor, Vikavolt, Mega Sceptile, Aromatisse, Unpheasant, and Terra Dusknoir with Steel Normal typing. So, as for the Terra types, or Terra captains, I think Heatran is fine. Getting rid of its weakness, 4 times weakness to ground with Grass and Flying, both get rid of the weakness to ground there. I think that's good, or it's fine. I think they chose like 2 defensive types, but Grass also helps Heatran in the water type matchup because that's something that it usually struggled with. And does Heatran get Terra Blast? I'm not sure if it does. Why is it not loading right? There we go. Yeah, does Heatran get Terra Blast? It does get Terra Blast, okay. So, yeah, I think that's really good then. Okay, so yeah, so I think Heatran is the grass type really benefits Heatran. I don't know if maybe I would have done Sneasler over Heatran as the second mon, but yeah, I'm not sure. Just a second again. Gotta check something, make sure I'm signed in. Sorry about that. I had to get a push notification sent to our admin Theo, and he's in England, and I'm in the U.S. So because I need to upload these videos to YouTube, so I had to get him to approve my sign in. So we just got that done. All right. So, all right, back to the business team. I think Sneasler is a lot better with Terra, but I guess Heatran, you could also make the same argument for Heatran. So it's kind of like a coin flip or like up to you decision. I like both. I think Heatran is solid. I don't know about the flying type though, but it does make you play or make the opponent play mind games of like whether or not I should click in a ground move into the Heatran, but grass already makes you play that game. So I think maybe you could have kept like one of your types, but I don't know. Heatran's also one of those mons that absolutely loves its typing because of all the resistances that comes along with it. Like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarter resistances. That's insane. I really like the Palafin. I think Palafin is a phenomenal Pokemon even without Terra. With Terra, it's absolutely broken, I think, but without Terra, it's still really good because you can still do you can still do the bulk up taunt set. You could still do the bandit set is still really, really good, and Jet Punch is still stupidly strong. I like Gliscor here as a ground type. I think the Gliscor Heatran combo is really nice. Yeah, maybe you should change the other type, Terra type, instead of flying. Maybe it's like fire or steel, just as one of your stabs to help Gliscor out with the ice weakness. But I guess you have like pretty solid ice switch-ins anyway with Palafin and Bundle. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about the flying type on Heatran. Then we have Vikavolt for like a web support, and I think I thought it got default. The doc says it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it does. Oh, it doesn't. I don't know why I thought that. Okay, let's see. Mega Sceptile. I've seen Mega Sceptile like pop off here in a few drafts. It's pretty crazy. It's how strong it is. I didn't realize how strong it was, but base 145 special attack is nothing to sneeze at. Like Leaf Storm, Giga Drain, Dragon Pulse is all pretty strong. And they have Aromatisse as like a Wish Passer Cleric. I think that's pretty solid for Heatran and Palafin. And then I don't know about the Unpheasant pick. How much was that? What, like 1 point? It was 3. Oh jeez. And then Dusknoir is their second Terra Captain with Steel and Normal. Maybe you would have done Dark, but I think those are okay. So let's get into the rockers. They have Heatran and Gliscor. I think those are two really good rockers. Like both are going to come to like every matchup, and one of them can easily fit it into the moveset. I don't love that there's no spikers. I think both Bundle and Palafin really appreciate the spike support, and same with Sneasler as well. T-Spike Sneasler, and then webs on Vikavolt. I don't know if the team really needs webs because you have three incredibly fast mons in Mega Sceptile Bundle Sneasler, and then Palafin doesn't really care about speed because Jet Punch. So I don't know how well web supports the team. The only thing it really helps out is like Heatran, but yeah, I'm not sold on the Vikavolt, and you already have like the best ground resist in the game in Gliscor, so yeah, I don't know about that. And then the removal I think is pretty bad. Like Unpheasant isn't a mon, and then you have Gliscor for defog, but it's already one of your hazard setters, so I think they should have maybe trade out like Vikavolt for another defogger or spinner, and I think they'd be good in a good spot then. As for their momentum, they have Vikavolt, Sneasler, Bundle, Gliscor. I'm not counting Unpheasant. It's not a mon. And then the flip turn Palafin as well, and flip turn Bundle and U-turn Bundle. So I think the momentum is really good. They have two really fast momentum users in Bundle and Sneasler, and then Palafin flip turn as well. So I think that's pretty solid. And their priority, they have Jet Punch, Palafin, and Shadow Sneak, and Sucker Punch Dusknoir. So, well, I think Palafin is just phenomenal. And then they have a lot of taunters, and so that's really good. And then they have a couple phasers as well. Heatran, I know Heatran gets Roar. I'm not sure if anything else gets a phasing move. I think Palafin gets Haze if you want to run that. Be brazy. The only knockoff user they have is Gliscor. I don't know if they really need a knockoff user though. Another one, I think they're fine. Like the only way it would really help is to like get rid of assault vests for Iron Bundle, or like a Pasho or a Rocky Helmet for Palafin. I think the knock support from Gliscor helps Palafin more, and probably Heatran more as well. Let's see. So let's go and talk about their speed tiers. So it's an incredibly fast team, and the speed tiers look really solid. They have like two mons that are faster than basically the entire metagame, and then a Sneasler that can further boost its speed with Unburden. They have nothing to activate its Unburden immediately though, so I don't know how much I love that. Like they don't have a terrain setter, so that's not ideal. They maybe could have gotten like a low point Thwacky that might have helped the team, because like Palafin, Heatran love the additional support, and then boost Sceptile's move or power, so that would be nice. And Aromatisse appreciates the passive recovery as well. Yeah, and it makes Heatran's the grass move stronger for Heatran, like the Terra Blast. What else? Let's see. Yeah, so I like their speed tiers. I think that's solid. I think offensively, I think the team's pretty powerful with Bundle, Palafin, and then Sneasler as well. And like they have really good breakers in the top four, and then they have really good late game sweepers as well with like a Booster Energy Bundle, an Unburdened Sneasler, or just Choice Band Palafin with Jet Punch, or just the bulk up Palafin. Like that can win on its own as well. And yeah, so I like this, and Mega Sceptile is really, really fast as well, and can just hit opposing teams incredibly hard. And maybe the team would be better off with like another bulky pivot, because they only really have Gliscor at the moment. They have fast pivots, but maybe another bulky pivot would be better. Like instead of Aromatisse, get another bulky pivot mon. Yeah, I'm not in love with their bottom three mons either. I think Aromatisse is okay with Palafin and Heatran, but yeah, I'm definitely not in love with Unpheasant or Dusknoir. I think they could have gotten better options there. I understand why they got Unpheasant, because they wanted a Ghost Resist or Ghost Immune mon, but it's an Unpheasant. It's not a real Pokemon. So I think they could have gotten something better. Like is Kamala available? Have we gone over this? Or does someone else have it? I'm a big Kamala fan. It is taken. But that was something that they maybe could have taken in the draft to help out. Yeah, I think they could get like another low tier spinner, and that would help out the team. Just because the removal isn't fantastic, and plus you don't want to run default Gliscor. if it's also one of your best and only other stealth rock options. So defensively, looking at the team, if the Heatran Terras, then it's pretty weak to. The team is very, very weak to flying moves. So that's another reason why the Heatran kind of struggles to Terra here, unless they change like the flying type to like Steel or something. And then the team is very weak to rock, so like a Mega DNC matchup is pretty tough. And then are there any other like really good rock types at the moment? Oh, this froze. Nice. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. I don't think they added any good rock type mons. I guess there's like Iron Thorns, but I don't think anyone drafted that. And plus you'd have to tear it to make it be okay. So defensively, I mean, Shen Pao would still kind of do well versus this team. You'd have to do a Aromatisse to check it, but I think Banded Icicle Crash might do a KO, or like if you get Chen Pao in on Gliscor and you Sword Stance in its face, then it's GG. Yeah, it might just be GG at that point. So that matchup would be a little tough. I think you just have to get creative with what you bring. What else? Let's see. The Mega DNC match might be pretty tough, especially if the Heatran Terras. And Sneasler isn't a real rock resist, so the rock, like if there's another good rock type Pokemon, that might be pretty tough. Oh, what? No one drafted the Landos in this? What? That's insane. There's so many good mons that went undrafted here. That's crazy. Yeah, I really don't know of any other good rock type mons, but a lot of mons get the rock type coverage, so it's gonna be tough for them to switch into. But offensively, I like the combo. I don't know how well they rounded out the. Like I said earlier, I think they should probably change up a couple of the bottom mons, and they would be. I think the team would be really good, and maybe change the Terra type, the second Terra type on Heatran from flying to like Steel or something. I think that would be pretty solid. So where would I rank this? I think I would put this. I'll put it above this Rain team here, but I think it's maybe a point. Is it lower? Lower than SPZ and Gwynyon. I like Palafin so much. I think this team has the bulk and breaking power. I don't know how much bulk this team really has though. I think it can be exploited. But offensively I think it's pretty insane. I think Bundle does so well in so many matches. I think I'm even going to put it above Tim's team. What about Captain Funk? Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it above here, just because I think Bundled is so good into so many teams. I think it's gonna be such a nightmare, and I think they have enough defensively to help them out. I think I would get rid of the web setter and the low tier mons, and it would be, and the team would be really good. Yeah, so we'll put it there. And lastly, we have Tydog, and his team is Roaring Moon, Corviknight, Primarina, Arcanine Hisui, Galarian Darmanitan, Manchow, Superior, Hatterene, Torterra, and Drapion. And he chose to Terra the Primarina and Arcanine Hisui. And the Primarina is Fairy Steel, Arcanine Hisui is Grass Normal. I get the Grass type for Arcanine Hisui because it gets rid of the ground and water weakness, both are 4 times, so and Grass resists both of those types, so I think that's fine. I really don't get the normal type, maybe for like extreme speeds, but I think if you just did one of your stabs for rock or fire, just to make flare blitzes and head smashes that much stronger, I think that would be a little better. As for the Primarina, Fairy, Steel, I think both of those types are great. I think Fairy typing is really good on Primarina. It makes Moonblast that much stronger. It makes the choice specs sets really good. You're just spamming Moonblast, and then it boosts the Power Draining Kiss as well. And then Steel typing gets rid of, I think it gets rid of like most of Primarina's weaknesses. It gets rid of the poison and grass weaknesses, so you get immunity and resistance. You're neutral to electric, but you're not getting rid of that weakness anyway. And I think that's all that. Yeah, because Fairy's only weak to steel poison. Yeah, so you'd only be. electric. Yeah, that would be the only one that you resist. So there's a lot of mind games with the steel type for Primarina, because like, do you want to click close combat in front of its face? No, because it's a fairy type at the moment. It could change to steel, or yeah, that turn that it could Terra is an interesting one. Okay, so next let's go over to the team sheet and take a look. So for the Rockers, they have Torterra and Arcanine Hisui. I think those are really bad hazard setters. Like, Arcanine doesn't want to. I feel like it should never click rocks. I think it should just click buttons and break for the team. Like, open up a Roaring Moon endgame. And Torterra, it's going to be a mon that comes like once or twice. It's not. I don't think it's very reliable. And then they have T-Spikes Drapion. I think that's good. I think Drapion's fine. And then they have two defoggers. They have Corv, which is one of the best defoggers in the game, and has been or it was one of the best defoggers in Sword and Shield. And then they have Defog Superior. I don't know how much I like Superior just because it doesn't get any sort of coverage. And like, I don't know. I guess it can muscle itself past some matchups and like some Pokemon that resist grass with just because contrary, or like sub leech seed set. But yeah, I don't know how consistent of a Mon Serp is. And Corv is fine as a defogger. I would definitely like to see more hazard support and definitely better removal, because you have Darmg, which loves to run Banded and Scarf, and then you have Arcanine Hisui as well, which likes to run Banded or Scarf as well. I guess you could just do Boots on Arcanine, but I feel like that takes away potential, or its damage output. Then the momentum of the team, they have Roaring Moon, Mienshao, Darmanitan, Galar, and Corviknight. I feel like they have three kind of the same mons with Arcanine, Darm, and Mienshao. I get like these two are nukes. These are definitely redundant. The Arcanine and Darmg. Mienshao's a little different because it knocks pivots. I guess Darm pivots too, but knocks pivots. Yeah, a little faster of a choice scarfer. Yeah, I like all their momentum, though. The Roaring Moon, Corv, Darm, and Mienshao, those are all really good users. And then the flip turn Primarina as well. Yeah, I forgot about that. And Hatterene gets Baton Pass this gen. The priority, they have Extreme Speed, Hisui, and Arcanine. I think that's why they did the normal type, was to just give it extra stab, or their extra power from that. And then they have Aqua Jet, Primarina. And I think they have Fake Out. If you want to count Fake Out Mienshao, then sure, they have that as well. So the priority is okay. At least they have the option, and they have Arcanine Hisui to use a really good priority move in Extreme Speed. Then they have really good taunt users, so I like this. I like the shutting down setup, or shutting down the bulk, or like Fat Mons. I like that. They have, I'd say, two good knockoff users in Mienshao and Drapion. I think that's pretty solid. And then the clerics, I don't know if clerics are like super necessary for this team, but I guess it helps out Darm and Mienshao. Maybe like a Corv. So I think that's alright. I do like the Healing Wish support though from Hatterene for like Darm, Primarina, or Roaring Moon. I think those are pretty solid. As for the weaknesses, I don't know if this gets Flash Fire. I guess it does. Intim, Flash Fire, Rockhead. I'm not sure though. Not 100% sure about that. Let's check, I guess, real quick. It does, okay. It does get Flash Fire. So the team is pretty fire weak. Like a Chi-Yu would do pretty well here, but you do have Roaring Moon. But the Chi-Yu can just, if I were the Chi-Yu in the matchup, I would just Will-O-Wisp immediately, because you're either going to go Roaring Moon or Prim. And Prim isn't a great answer because it can't heal itself long term, so it's only going to be able to come into like a Specs Chi-Yu one time. And then the fighting weakness, it's, I guess they have Hat and Prim, but a lot of fighting types get knockoff and U-turn, so I think they're just going to get taken advantage of. So like a strong fighting type will be tough for them to handle, or even like a Valiant. A Valiant is going to be pretty tough for them, I think, because you have to keep Corviknight healthy, and you can't let it Sword Stance ever. And Valiant is faster than everything except the Roaring Moon. Yeah, so that would be pretty tough. Um, and then Steel, yeah, surprisingly they're really weak to Steel. And they only have Corviknight. Jeez, yeah, this is a team that would, I think, struggle with like Heatran, but like I guess it's just a Heatran. But like, what other Steel types are there? I guess every team is gonna have a Steel type. Like Zamazenta might just destroy this team because Corviknight does not beat Zama at all 1v1. Because Corviknight can't phase out Zama, and Zama can just run Iron Defense, Body Press, and beat Corv 1v1. Like Celesteela. Why were there so many mods that went undrafted here? Melmetal, yeah, Melmetal destroys his team. Like we said earlier, Bandit Melmetal 2-shots Corviknight, which is wild. Absolutely wild to think about. I think the team has okay bulk, but it seems like they have bulky mons, but I think they're gonna get overwhelmed because they have. It seems like they have too much offense and like too much overlap in mons. Like the Arcanine, Hisui, and Darm. That's a lot of overlap there. And then I don't think the low tier mons really support the team too well. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Drapion. I feel like it's just so weak. But it is nice for T-Spike's absorption and setting T-Spikes of its own, and then just having a dark type so you don't get like 6-0'd by a stored power mon or psychic types. So I think the team has the potential just to hit like a nuke on the physical side. They don't really have that many special breakers. I guess you have Specs Prim, and you can bring that to a couple matchups. But Hat typically likes to run defense EVs and be a defensive switch into things. So yeah, and is the team? Yeah, I don't know how well the team handles like the top mines like Pult, Torn. I guess they have lots of good Scarf options, so they force people to at least run a Scarfer or two. But like, you're gonna be doing that most of the time anyway. So yeah, I really don't like their rockers, and I don't think the removal is fantastic, especially with Darm. It doesn't work that well, but I think that it has plenty of breaking power on the physical side, and then you have a late game cleaner potentially in Roaring Moon, with a booster energy set or just a DD set. Yeah, I don't think the team has that many weaknesses as like Levi. I think it's like here. I think Theo and Ace Titanium's team is just above theirs, because they at least have really solid defensive pivots and like fat walls. Yeah, so I think I'll put that here. So to close this out, we have Viva's team at number 1, Makis' team at number 2, AS Kid's team at 3, Willow Rush at 4, Abyss Watcher at 5, Captain Funk at 6, Timbo at 7, SPZ and Gwinian at 8, Gracious Salami and Rosewood at 9, 10th we have Theo and Ace Titanium, 11th we have Tidog, and then 12th we have Levi. And if you've stuck around for this long, thank you, I appreciate it so much. And if I missed anything, please leave a comment or at me in the Discord. And thank you everybody, and take care.